Oh, just snorting and blowing smoke.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order. Representative Ross Fitzgerald is here tonight to see how things are going and what we need, and he has another meeting this evening, so I'm gonna let Ross go ahead and get us started, and then we'll move into our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously serve at the pleasure of all of you, and so I'm trying to get around again here to visit all city councils in our District 17 to see, number one is, as we mentioned earlier, if the gas tax has been coming back into the counties and cities, and I understand it has, and we've got quite an insurmountable task to go through streets and whatnot in many cities. The other one was the election little bill that allowed you to not have to run a regular election when you have opposed offices and whatnot, and that was a simple little bill that hope would save you some money. So, you know, with the tax that's coming in, of course, that'll kind of go up a penny or two as time goes on. But hopefully that's at least supplemented some of your needs in terms of street repairs and whatnot. The budget is an ongoing issue down there. As I was saying earlier, I think as we watch it from a monthly basis, it's starting to sneak back. And the governor obviously has ways to go ahead and backfill some of those as he can, and I'm sure he will. So it's not going to heal up the hurt that's already hit our communities as far as closures and whatnot, but we hope that those backfills will at least solidify the system that exists now. Coming up here for next session, there's already a stack of stuff hitting the fan blades, and a lot of it has to do with money. Coal, renewable resources, the folks over in Libya are even having troubles trying to get their two mines up and running. So we're still having a big resistance in terms of natural resource development. The grizzly bear thing in this community is an important thing, and I think we're going to get that delisted with the current administration and the folks in there. Not only Yellowstone, but we'll hopefully get this whole front kind of squared away over the next couple of years. The wilderness thing's coming to a head, which involves Teton County as well, and I think that will also come back into discussions to make that from 1987. That will come back into the deck to make it probably more multi-purpose, along with wilderness and other grazing and logging and recreation. So those couple things were generated out of the Montana legislature last session. So we're tracking that to make sure that gets some traction. So other than that, the normal things we're still working on. I can't think of all the things that the cities and leagues in town came in with, but there was quite a stack of them. I didn't print that out, I should have tonight. But it was in business and labor, that was a pretty big presence down there. So, and anyway, that's about all I have just off the top of my head. Certainly want to make sure that you guys contact me as things go along. I know it's campaign season, but I have a certain amount of confidence we'll weather through this, as we do every other year as well, except Paul. And him on Facebook.
Right. Anybody have any questions they'd like to address with Ross while he's here? Take advantage of it.
I'll leave some cards up here, so if there's anybody that wants to give me a shout, I'll be available on either computer or phone. Okay?
Thanks, Ross. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate it. Okay, everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the March 23rd meeting?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Moved by Jill to approve. Do I have a
I'll second it.
Stewart, second. Are there any questions? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Would anybody like to be out of town between now and 17th?
I will be out of state from April 6th through the 16th.
Small deal. Anyone else wanna be out of here, out of there? Okay. Can I have a motion to roll Jill?
I will move to let Jill get her
Second.
six.
Okay. Moved by Dan, seconded by Mark. Any discussion, questions? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business this week, Mariah has sat down and got a plan of action going. We'll discuss this with her tonight. We won't make a formal agreement with Mariah and those folks until the meeting of April 17th. That time we'll have it on the meeting or on the agenda as an action item. But Mariah, would you kind of go through what you set on her desk? It looks pretty good.
Good evening. Here. Oh, you got one.
We've got one in there.
We got it on
Yeah.
that.
I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say. I guess first off, you guys have any questions? You guys
Not yet.
said you guys would have questions last time, so I'm just waiting for more questions.
Well, and so as I look down, I'm looking at the operational plan.
Yeah.
Are we looking at the same thing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I figured you'd get to it, but I wanted answers to the questions 1 through 6 that, maybe 4 through 6. Those were some questions I had.
Okay.
It was more about costs, and the costs associated with it and how you're gonna get those taken care of. Mine was more that type of stuff. I figured you'd also get to it, but my other question is gonna be about, some of the residual oversight stuff. I still have concerns over it. Not to say, I'm happy for you to go do it, I just don't wanna see a bunch of work put in and then have herbicide damage, because we don't know exactly where the spot spraying was done, kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, and I still haven't got a hold of him,
Okay,
because that'll
those
definitely.
are my 2 big questions.
So if who will be paying for things, we'll be getting donations, private donations, and applying for grants, which is, and a lot of things will be donated. We have fence posts and stuff to fix the fence, manure, a tractor to till up the land is provided. Tools are already provided. The only thing we need cash for, which donations will cover, is our water and power, and our seeds are already provided. And like I said last time, if it doesn't work out, we will seed it with a choice of grass seed that you guys approve and make sure that it sprouts and take care of it for a period of time until you guys are okay with it, and we'll be in contact with you guys, I guess, if it doesn't continue and we're wrapping things up, and make sure you guys are satisfied.
So just so I make sure I understood what you said, you already have donated fence posts, a donated tractor time, and some tools
Yeah, and seeds,
and seeds,
supplies,
hoses.
yeah.
Okay. You have hoses?
hoses, tools,
Okay.
rake, shovels, all that.
Cool.
We have someone to make a sign already, donating it. We don't need to pay for the sign or anything.
What does RAC stand for?
Random acts of kindness.
Oh, okay. And so if this were to go, if anyone who was interested could just contact you then to participate, or?
Yeah, we'll have a informational board at the gate with email and phone numbers, and I'll be available, and we'll have designated times where the gate will be unlocked and people can come in and help and participate. Yeah, they can get a hold of me.
So if there's a gate, there's gonna be a fence.
There's already a fence.
Is there a fence? Okay.
Yeah.
It's in the fenced-in area.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know exactly where.
I see at the end of the year, you've got, at the end of the season, compost we'll put on the garden for winter, tilled under. I would assume during the year you would have someone there mowing,
It says that.
just normal upkeep.
There's not much mowing, but weed eating and weeding and stuff, yeah, definitely. Like, once or twice a week we'll be there, maintaining it, and, definitely.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Mariah before, Mike, what will it approximate cost to run the water line instead of below grade meter cost in there?
If we do it ourselves, and probably meter, we've got some extra pits left over. We'll probably have about $900 of materials, and it depends on how many frost-free hydrants we put in there. Between, say, 900 to 1,200 materials. So why do you need electricity down there?
That was my question too. Do you need power down there?
I didn't know how the pump was working.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
only thing.
I live out of town, so I don't.
You would.
Yeah, you don't need electricity.
Okay, so just cross that off the list. Good.
Yeah, you can cross that off. That would be a big one.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with the water being in my personal name if you guys don't want it in like an organization name. That's,
No.
okay.
Oh, utilities will be, this is kind of a fresh area for us, but utilities will be up to you to handle.
Okay.
We wanna see how this plays out, but we also don't wanna start making a habit. So if this works out well for you, you can almost bet there's gonna be somebody else down the line that's gonna wanna do something similar. We don't wanna get in that catch-22 where we're providing services for someone without payment, because there's a lot of other folks in town that may wanna try something like this. We're not discouraging it, but we wanna be paid for our utilities. We have to be paid for our utilities because of this power plant or this wastewater plant that's sitting outside of town, and the upgrades that we do make on our utilities for folks, our services, need to be paid for.
Mhm.
So, the city unless I get overruled, I see the city not paying for water or
Right.
utilities there.
I'm fine with the water being in my personal name, like a separate account than my home one, I guess. And me solely being responsible for it, I guess. If you guys
But
want
somebody will need to
one
be
person to be,
responsible for it.
yeah, I'm fine with it.
And come in and sign, get some paperwork when signed up.
Right.
You can put it in a company, you can put it in a
Business name.
business name.
Is there any guess on water usage?
Honestly, our water bill at home last year, we had a nice sized garden and I left my water running multiple times for multiple hours. And my water bill wasn't that expensive. I think water in Choteau's a fairly good price. It was $30-40 a month.
And your garden was how big? I mean,
It wasn't as big as this, but I left my water running a lot, and we watered heavily, and that was including our home water too. So
okay.
I'm assuming it'll be $30-40 a month or so, or a little bit more would be fine.
So the big expensive.
My irrigation on my lawn was well over 100 last year in June, July, August. It's just on irrigation on the lawn, so. I don't know how that's gonna compare with what you're gonna do with plants.
A garden doesn't need as much water as a lawn.
We do soaker hoses, so you don't have that extra waste. of the water hitting everything.
Nice.
So probably on the high end, by the time you install the water, do the hydrant, pay for the water, it's like $1,800. I mean, on the high end. If we take 12 to install it and then pay for water through the season. I'm just trying to get like, worst case scenario, you see what I'm saying?
It's $22.88 base rate, and then it's $2.22 per 1,000 gallons. So, you know,
What were the numbers again?
per 1,000
$22.88.
base rate,
Base rate.
and then it's $2.22 per 1,000 gallons. You know, that, I'm just giving you numbers.
Okay.
Right, 1,000 gallons.
Did you get those, Kathy?
No. And so,
222.
222?
so maybe to break that down, I guess the question I'm asking is, the $900 to $1,200, is that the city paying that, or is that something we, okay. That's, the expectation is that the garden would pay that.
The garden would pay for it.
Okay.
Along with that, I think we would,
Yeah, that's,
Well, we supply the materials and you have to have a licensed plumber, licensed master plumber hook that water up. You're hooking up into a municipal system. That's by law, that isn't something.
no, and that's okay, so I'm just trying to get to the cost, the heart of the cost.
I think,
9 to 1,200 was just supplies, right, Mike?
Yes.
yeah, I don't, it'll depend on what that plumber wants to charge.
Okay. I was just trying to get to a,
Mm-hmm.
You're probably looking at $1,500.
1,500 top end, then water on top of that.
So you're talking the plumber's cost to be $1,500?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm
No,
just
no.
All
clarifying.
the materials and our labor.
Got
and
it.
the plumber.
Got it, okay.
Okay, that was, thank you for narrowing that down.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
That's a really wild guess.
That's better than nothing, so.
You get all the numbers, Ms. Math teacher?
I am.
All right.
Anybody else have any more questions for Mariah? She obviously spent some time on this, and I think if we're going to move forward with it, we should be as well versed as we could, so.
I think if we were required to pay the 2,000 to hook it up, since we're leasing it from you guys, I think we would ask for a little bit longer term lease, since we have an investment into it.
That's what we were hoping.
Yeah, 'cause
So if someone, I live out of town, so I'm new to this thing because I have my own wells and everything. So if someone was to build a house in Choteau and they wanted water, you would charge them to hook up the water from the main line to their house.
Mhm.
Okay, that's, okay.
And then we would charge them per 1,000 gallons, a base rate plus per
Yes,
1,000
that,
gallons.
yeah, that's, I understand that part.
Yeah,
I
and we
just-
do, that's part of coming onto the system with our debt service and our cost of the meters and the master plumber. You know, we have to have those,
But as I understand it, we're doing our labor for free.
right.
So that's cheaper than if you just called and said, hey, I'm building a house over here, I need a connection to it. It would cost
We-
more
we-
than that,
we
that's,
wouldn't do that.
more than that
Okay.
1,500 we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this straight in my head before I come up with a number.
Thanks for pursuing this, I was just gonna say thanks for
Yeah.
pursuing it and your hard work.
thanks for considering it. Is there anything I should know of, for being in city grounds and zoning? I heard something about, not being able to have your compost on the ground, so we'd have to have it up, like a barrel, a rotating barrel, or,
So, and that's a EPA DEQ thing. Maybe you can speak to this too, Joe, but when we looked at doing compost in the city limits, there were permits and things like that we had to apply for if it was going to be on city property, but if it was on someone's property,
Yeah.
there's,
no.
That would be if the city was going to do it in a commercial sense.
okay,
Or a large.
One small amount.
Okay,
Yeah, that,
I don't think
There's
that's.
lots.
I would not worry
There's a lot
about that
of
so
people in
much.
town that do it, they do it in a barrel.
Right,
in their homes, that's probably all this is
right,
gonna be.
and that's what I'm saying, is the barrel would be fine, but composting on the ground on city property is not allowed.
No.
Right.
No, and but if you had a small pile of compost barrel size that you needed to draw out of, I don't see a reason in the world we can't do that. It's not for sale. It's for your personal use, and that's done in any A residential, B residential area in town. That I wouldn't worry so much about, as long as it didn't get to be a huge.
Right, I'm just
Wow.
saying, I was just using it as an example. If there's anything else like that we should start thinking about.
My only, one of my fears is we're gonna get halfway through the season, see we're running out of water and just
That won't
be
happen.
done with it. And
Yeah.
now we got this, now we're gonna be down there with our loaders and our labor cleaning stuff up.
That won't happen.
That's one thing I don't wanna see. We've got enough in town here to clean up.
No, we're not gonna leave anything ridiculous in an eyesore for anybody. We're gonna follow through with it, and we just hope to feed some people.
I'd like to see it go like it
Yeah.
could be a plus for the community. Thank you. If we can think up more questions for you and more torture before the
Yeah.
next meeting, I'll call you.
If you guys wanna write a note on there, my phone number is 450, not 460. If you guys wanna call me with any questions or anything,
450.
the rest of it's right, 1819,
Oh, I guess I could look up and see it then.
sorry.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Okay, moving into new business. In your packet, there's a letter from Bomber Brothers, that's Cole and Dusty Smith. They're both busy tonight, but one of them would have been here, they sent a letter instead. They would like to open their fireworks stand like they've done in the past up at, city campers, old campground, I think it's called now.
Choteau Mountain View Campground.
Yep, that's it.
Well, I move we allow them, I don't know if it's a permit or what the right language is.
Yeah, a license.
Do we allow them a license or we grant them a license?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it's moved by Mark and seconded by Stewart that we issue license to Cole and Dusty Smith for their fireworks stand. It's the Bomber Brothers Fireworks Station stand at the Choteau Mountain View, whatever, campground. Do I have a motion? Or I already did get one. Do I have any questions? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. In your packet, there's quite a lengthy little contract in there. Hope you've looked through it. It's for a collection system improvement contract.
There's more.
This is the short version.
You got the real short version. And the outfit doing the majority of the work is Instaform, and their technologies are an LLC. New into this area, they've done a lot of work in Idaho, Utah, and Washington.
I think it's where they're from.
Pardon?
Colorado would.
And they've done some work in Montana too.
Yeah, they have done, they're just starting to really move into the state.
I think they started in Colorado, didn't they?
Yeah, they work all over.
They work all
They
over
work
the
all over the
world.
world.
They're finally making a move into Montana.
Jody, do you have I ask every time, do you have the number that we have to put up to get that 432? It was a very small amount, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like 20,000 or something. 15,000 to get the 432.
Yeah,
Right.
it'll kind of depend on where we end up, that, if they decide to do more, you know, cause it did come in under what we thought.
Yeah.
So there is the possibility that we could look at, since we're having some more water out of the treatment plant.
We'll find some more places for them before they get.
Yeah, and they possibly line some more, so that may mean, instead of all grant money, we do have room and rates and charges in our sewer that we could actually, we do have a SRF loan that we can use. It has been approved, we, you know, we're thinking
Now-
we wouldn't, but
would that have to go out for bid again, or would?
No.
So institute,
It would be a change order.
institute form.
How do
I
you
think it's
spell
spelled
that?
wrong.
That is how you spell it, and I don't know how you say it.
The Technologies LLC company.
Okay, great. So, but then if the scope of work were expanded, then they'd probably wanna expand the 60-day.
Very probably, depending on when they get started, Stuart.
Okay.
If we have water like we have now,
Yeah.
they won't get started in there until way into July.
Well, did they, and maybe I missed it, but was there a start date?
No,
Okay. I didn't see one either, but,
They are aware of where we're sitting right now.
they know where they're
trying not to float away.
There's a line going down to the lift station from the 7th to the lift station, that's part of it.
That is right now, yes. And we have not been able to camera that line, but the reason why we're doing this, cause when I wasn't there when this happened, but Jim from Dow, what was the last name?
Patterson.
He had notes on it, but when they bypassed pumped that line, it was picking up at least 100 gallons a minute, what he said. So we're just assuming it's leaking a lot.
Any other questions, or I guess I need a motion to.
I'll move that we accept the bid from whatever their name is.
Institute form.
Yeah.
Okay, it's moved by Dan, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jill. Now, do I have any more questions?
I don't think so.
Dan, questions?
No, I think we're good.
Jill?
No.
Mark? All those in favor?
I.
Opposed? Motion carries. Rich, you wanna tell us a little bit about your cruising event?
Okay. Rich Lusky, president of the Roadkill Car Club, just about the only member, but that keeps me president. Up until yesterday, it was looking pretty close to time to ask permission to use the information parking lot for a couple of cruise-ins. I have them on the second Wednesday of June, July, and August. It would be Wednesday, June 13th, Wednesday, July 11th, and Wednesday, August 8th. And they run from like 6 o'clock until 8:30. Most of the time they're over by 8 o'clock. I give trophies away at 8 o'clock, and everybody bugs on out real quick. But I usually stay there till 8:30, 9 o'clock before I get my vehicles out of there. But this is going to be the 10th year that I'm putting it on, and some years are real good, some years aren't very good, but what I'm needing to know is if I'm okay to be able to use the information parking lot again this year. Like I said, it'd be the three cruise-ins. It's just a gathering of cars, people. I'd like more public to come up, but you know, I've been getting quite a few coming up there. I tell everybody, come up and have ice cream and look at the cars. This year, hopefully, I'll have a Dodge Challenger or Charger up there, but I went by somebody's house the other day and it don't look like it's going to be done. But anyways, yes, I would like approval to use the information parking lot.
Well, I think for your 10th year, we kinda have to give it to you.
Well, I'll ask for more. You should have told me that before I stopped talking. I'll ask for a whole bunch more.
Well, I move that we allow Rich to do his cruising events.
I'll second it.
Moved by Stuart, second by Jill. Any questions of Rich while he's here?
No, it's great that you could do it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, thank you very much.
Have we had a chance to look at the claim?
Well, I'm looking for him right now. What's a
What's a what?
Rago roller? Is that,
That's
For the
the
streets.
oh, cool.
one we're buying.
Good. Awesome.
Compact, and get proper protection on the streets.
Good.
questions, yeah.
That's all right.
Did you put a poster in here, Rich?
Yeah, there should be one on the back page or something, yeah.
Okay. We'll get that up, in the online yard sale. Get the word out there for you.
Actually, a guy in Great Falls made it back in December, and I said, well, I haven't got approval yet.
I was in getting some warranty work done on a pickup today, and he had one at GMC dealership,
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
so.
A guy in Great Falls makes them up and he puts them out. Actually, I put some out at the car show 2 weeks ago.
That's good.
Right on. Bring people up.
Bring
Thank you,
people
Rich.
in,
Thank you.
get a chance to look at us, see what we're doing, so,
Yeah.
you know, that.
Oh, I'm Jimmy, didn't sell you the roller at that price. Oh, I'm Jeff Dicker with Jimmy, didn't sell you
I
the
went
roller.
around and around for a while.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second them.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Stewart to approve our claims. Is there any questions? Questions on claims? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Mike, you wanna give us your report?
Everybody should have a report. Big news in there is we got a lot of water coming to the sewer plant. And it's been, manageable but it's been very difficult to deal with. We are putting water in the lagoon right now. I got a summary kind of what we did there. We're still maintaining good treatment plan. We had one episode in there where we were shoving too much water through there around the 19th, and our results suffered a little bit, but we were still within our permit. They're back to, the results are coming back good now. DEQ, it's not in here. DEQ is gonna come up on, I've been after them since the 22nd to come up here and give us a hand with this situation. They're gonna come up on Thursday this week. We're gonna have a little meeting out there, look at things and try and come up with some kind of a long-term solution to get us through this high water season, because I think it's gonna last a long time. Last year we used that diesel pump April 22nd. We fired it up and we ran it till the 29th. And we took it off site on the 5th. And this year we started running the pump on the 21st of March.
So a month earlier.
A month earlier. What's that? I believe we'll be well, I don't know, we'll see. We have quite a few things we're gonna discuss on Thursday. Kevin from Dow is gonna come up, for the meeting as well. And hopefully we can come up with something that is, a little more sustainable than having a diesel pump running, because, you know, like over the last few days, it doesn't take much to put it down when it's below zero. So, couple other things on wastewater. I just wanna give a little credit here to Levi Wareheim. We had a bad sample in February. We do our own in-house testing of the same sample that we send to Energy Labs, and and Levi does a good job of documenting it, and, the Energy Lab sample got contaminated, and typically we would have to report that, and we would have made our permit this month. We had enough data that I was able to put together a pretty convincing letter to the DEQ, and they threw it out. So,
Excellent.
you see Levi, congratulations, because I wouldn't have
Mike, can I just back up on, you've got the samples for the month of March on page 1.
Yep.
So I see that one that was taken on the 19th, is that gonna be a problem with the DEQ?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we made that one too.
Okay,
Um,
it looks like E. coli was okay, but I was worried about the TSS percent removal.
Yeah, we might be a little bit off on that, but, our TSS is so low coming in. Mean team's actually really good.
Gotcha.
It's just we have, at that time, we probably had, 1.5 million gallons of groundwater coming through.
Gotcha.
So, it's, that's why we had such a low percent.
Keep that water running through clean meters.
We're still out looking for leaks, we found a couple new ones, we're still out trying to identify, sump pumps, and get them out of the system. We got one off last week, I guess. Water's going pretty good on the public water system, we don't have anything to indicate we sprung any new leaks. We do have a lot of water out there. There is a groundwater well, monitoring well at the Rickham. On 26th, it was recording that the groundwater is 2.67 feet below the surface of the ground.
Pretty high water table.
There's data on that well going back into the late 80s. The only time it's ever been that high was 1991, it was 2.08 feet. So I'm guessing that we've already passed that by now, or we're going to pretty quick.
How often do you check that?
It's actually on, I don't actually know, there's a link to it on the internet. I think it's live.
So when it goes negative, we're in trouble?
If you go out there right now, you can see in places it is negative, there's groundwater on top of the ground. In terms of flood getting prepared for a potential flood, we did get some more sandbags in. We've been giving a few out. I'm putting together just a notification system, identifying all the people that are in zone A, with means to identify them or to notify them in case we have an urgent event. And, even if it means we're gonna probably put together some lists so that if that's go door to door, we can get that out to people and get it done.
So roughly, zone A is gonna be southwest?
No, I can show you a map, it's actually.
I'll look later. so we don't
Some
take time.
Spring Creek, southwest corner of town, the northwest corner of town.
I get you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we actually it's further down here in the GIS stuff, I spent a fair amount of time the last few days just working on the county flood zone maps. We just got them all done today, they should be online tomorrow if you wanna go look.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
Thank you.
And, Jack and I talked about it, I think we're gonna try and just develop a volunteer list with contact information of, I don't know what we call it, Choteau Volunteer Flood Response Group, in the event we do have a flood. So we can contact people for volunteer to whatever, fill sandbags or notify people or whatever we need to do. And on streets, we've been out just filling the potholes with gravel for right now, as a short-term fix until we can get on the roads, just because they are so atrocious. GIS stuff is going pretty darn good. We have the wastewater database set up, the way the state wants it for the grant, and it's ready to start collecting data for that. And like I said, we helped the county get a general floodplain map for the entire Teton County together, and it should be online tomorrow. I think it'll be on the city, what has a GIS site online, and the county does, it'll be on both.
Okay, cool.
Any questions for Mike? Any other questions for Mike?
Are the roof leaks at the pavilion, is that ice damage stuff?
Oh, no.
I'll go over that.
Oh,
That's gonna be Jody's.
That's Jody's report.
Yeah.
And you're up.
First of all, I'll just say I did, they did ask tonight about the gas tax, and I did submit that Monday. And I actually received the money, but the money by Thursday. So it was very quick. So it would, surprisingly, cause normally it isn't that way, it was very user friendly. I hope the rest of it goes that way, but, you know, it's very transparent, but we will have to submit pictures and all that, but it was really simple. Didn't take an act of Congress to actually receive the money, so we could actually get to work. You know? There will be, you're probably interested in this, Paul, this will be, we're gonna have just a get to know each other. This is what the rules are gonna be, meeting of the sidewalk, on, I think it's the 10th of April here, just mainly with this new way that they do things, DOT handles it all. I pay the bills, but other than that, most everything gets handled through them, so they're just gonna come tell us the rules and how that
What
will
were we talking
go.
about specifically?
We applied for a grant before you were on, and it starts at right where the sidewalk ends at the high school, at the teacher parking lot. It will go across the teacher parking lot, up by Paul's, all the way to where, Doug Yeager.
Oh, to redo all that.
So, the ball is starting to roll.
so the kids come off the
So my kids can walk home this week.
Every
So-
councilman that lives on that end of town is responsible to shovel.
Yeah,
Somebody out there's got a four-wheeler to go down even the broken asphalt cuts right now, so it's.
I think that, maybe Bob Scott is doing a little of that. He said something today when he was in on something else, that they're trying to keep at least some of it with plow, but. And then onto the pavilion. I did talk with Fred Christensen today. He actually came into us. I think Mike had been trying to call, and he came in to me and said, oh my gosh. And I have called the insurance company. They, and we're just, Fred's at a loss. We need to figure out where the source is for, and some of it, the insurance company will pay for it. We just need to figure out what's going on. So and what Fred thought was the tiles like are up here,
The drop
Similar.
ceiling tiles.
the drop ceiling tiles, he can't get them anymore. The guy that I talked to at MMIA said if that is the case, they will replace them. We would have a deductible, but then they would replace them all. So that would be nice if that is the case, I don't know, but we are moving forward on whatever is going on in there. But we are moving forward. Fred was gonna try to get some people together and just go in and get up in that attic and figure out what might be going on, and we'll move from there. I haven't filed a claim or anything yet, so, but that's.
Well, there's been lots of ice dammers, I mean, it's just.
Well, and the snow sat on that roof all winter long, just like on everyone else's, so there's a lot of ice damage, so we'll see. That's all I have.
Thanks, Jody.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Mayor. Jody, have you any information with the school parking lot how that's gonna be affected by the sidewalk?
It's supposed to be, my understanding, and I have not seen a plan, but that it will be flush so you can still drive over it.
Street level.
On the grade.
It's my understanding.
Is there anybody talk to the superintendent, principal?
Oh, yeah,
School board?
they know. They knew before it ever started. Or they knew then, so.
I don't know that they are very involved at this point. You might wanna just give them a heads up that there's this meeting going on next week or whatever.
Oh, this one won't be the one that they want to go to. But yeah, no, Chuck and I talked, but he knew then what was going on a year ago. He's probably forgotten by then. Cause it was a year ago. But I'll talk to him tomorrow, I'll call him. I have a letter of support from him. So at one point he
You're
knew.
gonna send that back to him.
I know, I'm like, Chuck, look.
You wanna talk a little bit about the health insurance and what it's gonna raise this year?
This year, actually, we're really lucky, the city pays most of our health insurance, the employees' health insurance, it pays, in our health insurance is going up 3.7%. It's 14 cents an hour. So, and that's probably what it averages to less every year. Every year they send us out a letter that says that it's gonna be 8% and they always come back at 3. So they have done a lot of things, working with a lot of different places to, you know, make the rates where they can be, because they've worked with the hospitals and I think all over the state to get, you know, make sure that it doesn't matter where you go to get a colonoscopy, it's the same price. And sometimes, you know, they work pretty hard on that. You know, they said it would take a few years before we actually saw the advantages of that, but they're looking for, hopefully that will keep our rates low. We've been awfully lucky.
Who's they?
We're actually self-funded through MMIA.
Okay. Talk to them.
Yeah. It actually goes through Allegiance.
Okay.
But it's a pool. We get everything through them, our liability insurance, our workers' comp, our property insurance, health insurance.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jody? No. Jody? Thank you, Jody. Mark, what do you got for us?
You know, maybe it's just my memory, if you could help me jog it a little bit. Where did we ever end up on the speed bumps by the school?
They're sitting signs in, signs are sitting in the office. Mike's creating speed signs.
So it's in
every
process, that's what
Yeah.
it just seems like I hadn't heard, maybe I just wasn't paying attention or
By the
whatever.
time they got here, everything was here, it was.
There's a foot of snow, but they're in process,
We're
so,
not gonna install them until we're sure we're not getting any more
so
snow.
we're talking about 2, 3?
Trees.
Right, we're starting out with 2 all the way across,
Okay,
I think.
roughly one at the elementary, one at the high school?
Yeah, I went over, Chuck and I
Okay.
talked about it, I got it actually on a GIS map somewhere, but I can't.
That's fine,
really
I
remember
just,
the
like I
precise-
said, either I hadn't heard about it because I wasn't paying attention or because we hadn't talked about it, so.
No,
I think the Thursday that we were gonna put them, that Mike had talked about putting it down was when it starts.
That's fine.
The other informational signs are here, they're sitting in the office too.
Gotcha.
So when we get,
No problem, I think that was all I had, was just.
when summer gets here, we'll get these installed.
So August, right in time for school.
we've had a lot of speed bumps there this winter,
Yeah.
Yeah,
snow and the ice.
there've been a couple of those around town where hump gets made and.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of them over there.
Okay.
Jill?
I don't think I have anything.
Okay. Stuart?
I think I have anything either.
Dan?
We don't have anything on our playground.
Stuart's the guy to ask.
Actually, Brooke and Jody and I talked on Friday, and I am moving forward on some stuff to try and get it finished. Or at least funded this year, so we can get it in this year.
At least
Where our
start.
donations
Yeah.
went,
They're still sitting in our account, that was one of the things we talked to Jody about. But Brooke and I talked for a couple hours last week about options, and how to let the city know and let the people know that we are still doing this. And we came up with some ideas. We haven't finalized any of them yet, but We will here the next week or two. Yeah.
Other than that, it's been, Mike Strew's been working hard on it out, seeing the mess he had going into that lift station and trying to keep up with it. And we're probably running clearer water through our sewer than most towns run through their water system, to be honest with you.
Well, we did 32 million gallons in March.
Wow.
That's what went through the plant, that's not counting
Not
what
counting
we, what now we're pumping to the side.
Wow.
It was only built for like 700,000.
Hmm?
It was only built for like 700,000 a day.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the number is, but, you know, that line on that graph, that 1,000, that's 1 million gallons a day, so we were pretty much right there is our lowest point. We were above, what? We were above 700 almost. We almost hit 2 million gallons a day there, around the 22nd, I think it was. It's just a lot of water.
A
Yeah,
lot
it
of
is.
water. A lot of water. I don't really have a lot. I was at a meeting in, Folsom for a couple of days of the mayors, the other mayors that came. Of the 50 or 60 mayors that were there, 22 were brand new. And of those, one had an election. The others were elected either by write-in or by acclamation and actually filed for election. It's just, and council members are the same. The apathy, or I don't want that job, or the misconception that everybody takes a shot at you because you're a mayor or councilman. And the reaction for most of the mayors that have been there over one term was, you know, I find my job very interesting. And we find ways to take care of some of the finger pointing and the rabble rousing, and we just try to make things easier for us in our community. The majority of the mayors there said they would be running again. They had no qualms about running again. They enjoyed their job. It was just getting the public to understand that it is kind of a decent job. You bring people in with the idea that you're gonna sit down and have a conversation with them, and something good can come out of it. It's okay. So all the other ones had the same trouble I did. Your finance officer won't give the public director any money, public works director any money. It comes down to just one person. So, other than that, I don't have anything. No, it's, the last month we've been watching Mike juggle that water plant out there at the MD line. I'm glad I don't have to, because it sure as heck wouldn't happen with me doing it. So, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
City crew's doing a great job of cleaning up snow again.
Oh, man.
We're ready for snow to be gone, so.
I'm wondering if you stop moving and if it'll stop coming. Probably not.
We're about to the point where we're not gonna move it anymore because it melts off.
Melts quick enough, yeah.
24 hours. We pushed it around a little bit yesterday, not too much.
Oh, when you get, what was it, 7 to 10 inches? I mean, you kinda have to move a little of it.
Somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, Paul, you got anything?
No, I was just curious about the sidewalks mainly.
Okay. Rich? Mel, how'd the fireworks go?
I have preliminary unaudited numbers, so, and I was in a hurry when I worked through them, so I don't wanna say this is the final number, because God knows I could have made a math mistake. But it appears that we're going to net $7,617.85.
Wow.
Compared to $7,460.28 last year.
What's the goal?
I never have a goal. I mean, honestly, the firemen will spend somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 for a show. There's 1 year's worth of show in the bank. we're raising for the 2019 show, and, yeah, so that's what it looks like it's gonna come down to.
Do we typically get any more donations from this point on?
Yes, we will get donations from cans set out around town, and we will get donations from the Sons of the American Legion after their 3rd of July event, which they're aiming for a more boxing-like smoker this year with less martial arts and big local involvement and bouts that last longer. They are still working with that fights promoting company out of Great Falls, 221 Industries or something like that. 221 Entertainment. It's 221 something. I did go and speak with the firemen last week, and they've got a lot of, well, not a lot, but they've got a number of new people and younger people who didn't have a lot of history on how we do fireworks, which is a very decentralized process in this community. And so I gave them 10 years worth of my financials and explained how the project works and who the contributors are. And, in the future, if it comes out that we get in a position where we don't have enough fundraising from this event and individual donations, then I would expect that we would look at having another event or look at some real targeted fundraising requests to some larger, maybe corporate type entities.
So how much was raised last year, just out of curiosity? Total, not just for the thing, but I mean.
So last year, we raised $7,460. I think that the Legion group donated $2,000, so that was 9,460, and I don't know how much the cans, but about another 1,000.
Yeah, normally I think that's about what it is.
So right around 10 grand.
Cause some of that, in that first 7,000, some people donate, right, like there is certain people that have already written their check.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, the nice thing about the fireworks fundraiser here is that we get out-of-town families who are here with their children for the Easter holiday, who spend money on games and auction items that, they may not even be home for the 4th of July, but they're helping to support, and we get, good support from our business community is amazing. I have a sheet with 7 pages long of donors who have given, and some of them don't give me an item for the auction, they just write a check for $300 or $100 or $200. We had $1,150 in direct donations that just came in from me or my merry band of pleaders making a call to someone, and then, so out of that 7,600, 1,150 were just checks that people wrote or business owners wrote. And then the silent auction was about 4,530, Lions games 1,590, 4-H luncheon 974, Sirocco's bake sale 240. That was the breakdown, which is really comparable to last year's numbers, except for the bake sale, we were down about almost $200. I don't know.
Well, if you would convey your thanks to you and your merry band.
Yes, and I will, what I do after this, you can put a thank you in the paper to all of the businesses and individuals that donated, and then I write a little personal thank you to the firemen who come and clean up, the 4-H'ers who put a bake sale on, the Seroptimists for the bake sale, 4-H'ers for the luncheon, and Lions for the games. And I also give them a report of the final, the money, how much we raised. So I haven't been sending that to the firemen, but I will do that so they know too. They were going to, after I talked with them, they were going to talk to Fairfield and Dutton and just get input from them on how they structure their fundraising and their fireworks purchases, to see if there was any economy to be gained. But the company that they work with, which is I think called Big Sky Pyrotechnics, which provides the insurance and the certification for the firemen. Our fire department is fairly invested in working with that company. The new panel that we bought last year that was $4,700, the ignition panel, to make sure that no one gets injured lighting the fireworks off. That works with a set of tubes that are still the property of Big Sky Pyrotechnics. So I'm not sure, and it's my understanding it's a pretty narrow field of who does this
Expertise, yeah.
and who you can get it from. But it isn't gonna hurt them to talk to Fairfield and Dutton and see how they do their shows, just to get information. I
I didn't even know they
think Matt
both put on
Passmore was
shows.
gonna do that. Pardon
I
me?
didn't know Fairfield and Dutton even put on shows.
I'm not sure.
Very, I know.
Oh,
I know
they're different, like
Doug does.
swim
I
days.
know
and-
Dutton does, I don't know whether Fairfield does or not, we know Dutton does.
Gotcha.
But again, the, support and the volunteers were crazy amazing. This year, the Boy Scouts made a purposeful, they organized themselves and they came to help the Lions with the games. So that was neat, so Boy Scouts are on the list too this year.
Did anybody get an approximate head count at about 10 minutes till 1 in that pavilion with the cold weather?
It was
It was
wall to
packed.
wall people, it was packed, in fact, I was a little bit worried, I wondered what the capacity of that building was, but it wasn't packed like that for very long, you know, it was right before although we did have really good coming back in afterwards, people brought their kids back in, and there was still a lot of games played during that period, and that's when some really intense little bidding wars on just a few things fired up, so. If anybody wonders what the ice axe went, or the ice saw went for, $160. Thank you, Paul Horton and Days Gone By Antiques, because that was it wasn't our very top selling item, but it was close, it might actually have been our top selling item. No, I think it was something went for $180. I think my husband bought it, and I think it was a windshield replacement for Lightners, so, but close.
Yeah, I think it was awesome this year.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. I didn't get to eat till after the Easter egg hunt.
But they still had food.
They still had food, which surprised me.
That was
Good.
Yeah, good for my belly.
It was really nice, and just a lot of people volunteer for that. All good,
Thank you, Mel.
and I hope my numbers were mostly right.
I'll bet they are.
I'll have Jeff audit them
We
tomorrow.
have an in with the Acantha, so if they're wrong, let me know.
Yeah.
Get them corrected.
Yes. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Moved by Dan, seconded by Schooley. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned, 8:03.
Flyer for the first one.